So for the longest time, my old group from about 4 years ago wanted to do a Star Wars campaign. My bud, Ken, wanted to be a Jedi. My other bud, Wyatt, wanted to be a thief. And I wanted to be a pilot. Actually, that was the longest running joke. Oh man, I'm finally gonna get to be a pilot. I have always been in love with the space flight elements of Star Wars, and it became an in-joke with our group that I was never going to get to fly a spaceship. Well, now was the perfect chance to fulfill this long-running dream character. So we began the Star Wars Edge of the Empire game, which killed our gaming group. For real. There was a full-blown schism in the group that got so intense that we all just divided and went our separate ways. So first, the GM simply would not let us be what we wanted to be. Ken wanted to be a Jedi? Nope, says the GM. No force sensitives. Wyatt wanted to be a charismatic thief? Nope, says the GM. Nobody here trusts talkers. You want to be a thief? You need to be reserved. I wanted to be a TIE fighter pilot who deserted after becoming part of a war crime. Nope, says the GM. TIE fighters are too elite. You can say you were the co-pilot of a salvage barge. So right off the hop, 3 out of 4 players weren't happy. We are playing on Nar Shaddaa. We were expecting a Star Wars-like action and tone, but nope, we are basically playing Shadowrun Light, aka Shadowrun where the GM doesn't need to learn the Star Wars system or setting. Ken and I are trying to make the best of it. We are the only people who stayed great friends after the group dissolved, deciding our characters are best friends with lots of history and making up stories about our shared past and fake anecdotes. It's kind of the only way we're having fun. The GM tells us, stop it. You do not decide your past. I do. No joke. But remember how I said 3 out of 4 of us didn't like our characters? Well, time for a quite side mention about the one guy who did. I call him Phil. Phil was super awkward, and most of the group didn't like him, but he was good friends with the GM. We gamed at the GM's house, so he was grandfathered into our group. The guy was the quintessential neckbeard incel, hated women and feminism and pretty much any other marginalized group, and he once almost got the group to dissolve after he tried to forcefully have his way with an NPC. An impassioned apology and promise to be better saved the group then, but he never really got much better. I mean, not forcing yourself on someone isn't an especially high bar. So Phil is playing a droid. He's playing a droid because he wants to be the victim of racism. So he's justified in murdering anybody who disrespects him. This would eventually include party members, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. We met for the first time in a bar owned by the Hut. The GM absolutely loved this bar that he dreamed up, because everything, and I mean everything, we wanted to do was in this bar. Taking a job? Your meeting is at the bar. Contacting a gang snitch to buy information? Do it at the bar. Want to buy new weapons? Do it at the bar. Need to get patched up after a flight? The medic will meet you at the bar. And on and on and on. We are constantly at this bar, listening to the GM describe the manic pixie dream girl bartender and how the table of supposedly awesome mercenaries was constantly threatening and insulting us, apparently to give us something to aspire to, but all it did was just irritate us. Privately, Wyatt, Ken, and I are saying, we are never going to leave this bar, are we? OP, you made a pilot and you're never going to set foot on a ship. We were joking at first, but week after week, it's not looking good. Finally, the last session we ever played. Our job is to identify someone in Hut's inner circle who is an informant for the Empire. Our mission is going to involve sneaking into a gambling den in the skies, aka the combat droid is going to have to disguise themselves or put on a restraining bolt. Phil refuses. Droid pride in his words. We can't even convince him to at least change his chassis to appear more like a protocol droid. So, without any other option, we just leave him behind. Well, as we fly away in our swoop car, he pulls out a grenade launcher or something we got a reward on a past job and tries to murder us, and almost succeeds. Vehicle wrecked and all of us in wounds, we turn against the apparently insane droid and shoot him down. Phil throws a tantrum and leaves the house. The GM chides us, but he tells us that he can supply us with another car that will just plunge us deeper into debt with the HUD, pretty much ensuring that we're going to be stuck on Nar Shaddaa even longer. We can meet the car dealer at the bar, the GM says. We go to the bar, and Ken and I pull out the thermal detonators we've been saving weeks and weeks for a special occasion, and we try to burn that bar to the ground. The GM hand waves any damage and arrests us without a fight, just saying we're subdued and caught. You guys are being really childish. Ken and I say, GM, I would rather be murdered by the HUD than spend one more minute in this bar. The session ends in bad blood and we never meet up again. We never left the bar, and I never set foot on a spaceship. This is just a mess. You basically have a 1-2 punch. You have a player who is that guy, and you have a DM who practically nurtures that guy. The favoritism and the inability for the DM to get outside of his comfort zone is simply amazing. Can you imagine playing a brand new game where, again, the DM can make anything possible and have him tell you that what you want is impossible? Even something as simple as a charismatic thief, which is a stereotype in and of itself. I feel that this group was going to disband sooner or later. I'm just surprised that it lasted for 4 years. What do you all think about this situation?